The envelope arrived on a Tuesday, cream-colored and heavy with that expensive paper stock my mother always insisted upon for important family matters. I almost didn't open it, almost tossed it in the recycling bin, along with the pizza coupons and credit card offers that cluttered my tiny studio apartment's mailbox. But something, curiosity, obligation, that gnawing sense of duty that had been drilled into me since childhood made me tear open the seal. Inside was a wedding invitation. My brother Derek's wedding invitation. Gold-embossed lettering announced his upcoming nuptials to Madison Ashworth at the Rosewood Estate, a venue so exclusive you needed connections just to get on their waiting list. Below the formal script, my mother had added a handwritten note in her precise, judgmental cursive. "We expect you to attend and look presentable. Try not to embarrass the family." I stared at those words until they blurred. Try not to embarrass the family. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. As if I were the family embarrassment. As if I were the one who needed managing. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "Did you get the invitation? Your father and I covered Derek's entire wedding. $230,000. We want this to be perfect. You will be there." My hands trembled as I read it again. $230,000. $230,000 for my brother's wedding. I thought back to 3 years ago when I'd asked them for help with a $15,000 loan to keep my graphic design business afloat during the pandemic. My father had looked at me over his reading glasses and said, "We're not going to enable your failures, Maya. It's time you learned to stand on your own 2 feet. I'd lost the business, lost my apartment, spent 8 months sleeping on friends' couches before finding this cramped studio in a building where the heat barely worked and the neighbors fought at 3 a.m. But Derek, golden child Derek, who'd failed out of 2 colleges before finally scraping through a 3rd, they'd given him $230,000 for a party. I called my best friend Priya. She answered on the first ring. "They gave him how much?" she shrieked. "You heard me? Maya, that's insane. After everything they put you through? After telling you they couldn't help when you were literally about to lose everything?" "There's more," I said, my voice hollow. "I'm looking at Facebook right now. My mom posted about it. So proud to give our successful son Derek the wedding of his dreams. When you raise children right, you want to celebrate their achievements. Jack's proud parents, Jack family first." The comments were a parade of congratulations and heart emojis. Aunt Linda wrote, "You and James are such generous parents. Derek is so lucky." My mother had replied, "We believe in investing in success." I felt something crack inside my chest. Not break. Cracks can be repaired. This was a clean snap, like a branch torn from a tree. "That's it," I said. "I'm done." Done with what? Done with them. Done with being the family disappointment. Done with apologizing for existing. What are you going to do? I looked around my studio apartment, at the secondhand furniture, and the laptop held together with duct tape, at the portfolio pieces pinned to my wall. Work I was proud of, work that clients loved, work that was slowly rebuilding my career from the ashes of that failed business. "I'm going to show them exactly what they threw away," I said, "and then I'm going to walk away and never look back." The next morning, I didn't call my mother for our usual Wednesday check-in. She'd instituted these calls 5 years ago, weekly obligation sessions where she'd ask pointed questions about my life and sigh dramatically at my answers. I'd missed maybe 3 in all that time, each absence resulting in guilt trip texts and passive-aggressive Facebook posts about children who abandon their parents. This Wednesday, my phone sat silent on my desk while I worked. Thursday came and went, then Friday. Saturday afternoon, my phone exploded with texts. Mom, why haven't you called? Mom, this is incredibly rude, Maya. Mom, your father and I don't deserve this treatment. Dad, your mother's upset. Call her. Derek, dude, what's your problem? Just call Mom. I blocked them all, not out of anger, though there was plenty of that, but out of necessity. I needed space. I needed silence. I needed to remember who I was before I became the family disappointment. Monday morning, I received an email from a marketing director at a tech startup. They'd seen my portfolio online and wanted to discuss a potential contract for a complete brand redesign. 6-month project, excellent pay, possible extension. I took the meeting. I nailed the meeting. I got the contract. Tuesday, I got another client referral. Wednesday, another. By Friday, I had more work than I could handle alone. I hired Priya, who had just finished her MBA and was looking for something entrepreneurial. Together, we started planning. Not just a business, but a real company. The kind of design agency that could compete with the big players. For 3 months, I didn't speak to my family, didn't respond to emails, texts, or the increasingly unhinged voicemails my mother left. How dare you ignore us? After everything we've done for you, you're selfish. You're ungrateful. You're a failure who will never amount to anything. I saved every voicemail. During those 3 months, my new company grew. We landed 6 major clients. We hired 3 more designers. We moved into a real office space with exposed brick and windows that actually opened. We made more revenue in 90 days than my failed business had made in 2 years. I also hired a therapist. Dr. Chen helped me understand that what I'd experienced wasn't just normal family tension. It was systematic favoritism, financial abuse disguised as tough love, and emotional manipulation designed to keep me dependent and grateful for scraps. They trained you to believe you weren't enough, she said during one session, and when you internalized that belief, they got to be the heroes who kept trying with their difficult daughter. The realization was devastating and liberating in equal measure. Derek's wedding was scheduled for the first Saturday in June. I didn't RSVP. I didn't acknowledge the invitation. I simply let it sit on my kitchen counter, a cream-colored monument to everything wrong with my family. 2 weeks before the wedding, my mother showed up at my office. I was in a client meeting when my assistant buzzed me. Maya, there's a woman here who says she's your mother. She's insistent. I excused myself and walked to the lobby. My mother stood there in her signature style, expensive suit, perfect hair, expression carefully calibrated between concern and disdain. Maya. She looked around the office space, and I saw the calculations happening behind her eyes. This was nice. Too nice for a failure. We need to talk. I'm in a meeting. This is more important. You've been ignoring your family for months. Do you have any idea how that makes us look? There it was. Not how it made them feel, how it made them look. How it makes you look, I repeated. That's what you're concerned about? People are asking questions, asking why you're not involved in Derek's wedding planning, asking if we've had a falling out. It's embarrassing. Then tell them the truth, I said. Tell them you gave Derek $230,000 for a wedding, but refused to give me $15,000 to save my business. Tell them you called me a failure. Tell them you only wanted me at the wedding so I wouldn't embarrass you by being absent. My mother's face went rigid. We did what we thought was best. Derek has always been more responsible with money. You made poor business decisions. I asked for help during a global pandemic. Derek asked for a $250,000 party. It's his wedding. I don't care, I interrupted, and the words felt like freedom. I genuinely don't care anymore. You made your choice. You invested in the child you valued. Fine. But you don't get to pretend we're a happy family for Facebook photos. You don't get to demand my presence at events so you can maintain appearances. You don't get to call me a failure and then expect me to smile for the cameras. You're being incredibly immature. I'm being honest, maybe for the first time in my life. I gestured around the office. This is what I built after you refused to help me. After you called me a failure. After you told me I needed to stand on my own 2 feet. So I did, and now you're angry because I'm standing so tall you can't look down on me anymore. My mother's expression transformed into something I'd never seen before. Genuine fear. Fear that she was losing control. Fear that her narrative was crumbling. If you don't come to this wedding, if you make Derek's special day about your petty grudges, you'll regret it. Is that a threat? It's a fact. Family is everything, Maya. Without us, you have nothing. I smiled then, not with warmth, but with the cold satisfaction of someone who has finally seen through the illusion. You're wrong. Without you, I have everything. Without you, I have peace. Without you, I have a business I built myself. Without you, I have self-respect. You'll come crawling back. I won't. And deep down, you know that. That's why you're here. That's why you're scared. My mother left without another word. The wedding came and went. I spent that Saturday hiking with Priya, breathing clean air, taking photos of wildflowers, feeling lighter than I had in years. My phone stayed silent. No calls, no texts, no attempts at reconciliation. But social media told its own story. The wedding photos appeared on Monday, Derek and Madison in their expensive finery, my parents beaming in formal wear, the Rosewood estate providing a perfect backdrop. My mother had captioned the album, "The perfect day for our perfect family." So grateful for the children who make us proud. The comments were predictable. Congratulations. How beautiful. What a blessing. But there were other comments too. People asking where I was. Cousins who knew something was off. My Aunt Rachel wrote, "Where's Maya? Haven't seen her in months." My mother deleted the comment within minutes. I didn't respond, didn't engage, didn't defend myself. I simply existed in my new life, the one I'd built without them. 2 months later, my company landed our biggest client yet, a national retailer looking for a complete brand overhaul. 8-month project worth more than $500,000. The kind of project that would put us on the map, that would establish us as serious players in the industry. The press release went out on a Tuesday. By Wednesday, it had been picked up by 3 industry publications. By Thursday, my LinkedIn was blowing up with congratulations and connection requests. By Friday, my father called. I stared at his name on my phone screen. 11 weeks of silence, and now he was calling. I could imagine the conversation, the congratulations that would sound like accusations, the pride that would come with conditions, the expectation that this success would somehow repair what they'd broken. I didn't answer. He called again, and again. Then my mother called, then Derek. I blocked the numbers. That evening, I received an email from my father. The subject line read, "We need to talk about your business." I almost deleted it, almost let it sit unread in my inbox. But curiosity, that same dangerous curiosity that had made me open Derek's wedding invitation, made me click. The email was long, meandering. It started with congratulations, moved through complaints about my absence from family events, detoured into grievances about how I'd abandoned them, and ended with the real purpose. Your mother and I would like to invest in your company. We have capital available and believe we could provide valuable guidance. This could be a chance to rebuild our family connection while helping you grow your business. Let's schedule a time to discuss the details. I read it 3 times. Each time I felt a different emotion. First, disbelief, then rage, finally something close to pity. They wanted in. Now that I'd succeeded without them, now that I'd proven I could build something valuable, they wanted a piece of it. They wanted to be able to tell their friends they'd helped me, that they'd invested in their daughter's success. They wanted to rewrite the narrative, to claim credit for the work I'd done in spite of them. I showed the email to Priya. She read it in silence, then looked up at me with fire in her eyes. "Please tell me you're not considering this." "Not for a second," I said, "but I am going to respond." I crafted my reply carefully. No anger, no accusations, just facts. "Dad, thank you for your email. I'm going to decline your investment offer. When I needed help, actual help, not an opportunity to claim credit, you refused. You told me you wouldn't enable my failures and that I needed to stand on my own feet. I took your advice. I stood on my own feet. I built this company with my own work, my own money, and my own vision. I don't need your capital, and I certainly don't need your guidance. What I needed was a family who believed in me when things were hard. What I got was a family who kicked me when I was down and now wants to celebrate with me now that I'm up. I'm not interested in that relationship. I wish you and Mom well, but I won't be accepting your money or your involvement in my business or my life. Maya." I stared at the draft for 10 minutes. Then I hit send. The response came within an hour. My mother this time, her email all capital letters and exclamation points, accusations of disrespect and ingratitude, threats about cutting me out of their will, declarations that I'd regret this decision. I didn't respond. I simply forwarded the email to Dr. Chen with a note. "Progress?" She replied, "Tremendous progress. How do you feel?" I thought about it, really thought about it, and the answer surprised me. "Free," I wrote back. "I feel free." The months rolled on. My company grew. We expanded to a second office. We won awards. We built something real and substantial, something that existed entirely outside my family's narrative. I dated. I traveled. I adopted a cat named Bourbon who slept on my keyboard during late-night work sessions. I learned to cook. I took pottery classes. I discovered who I was when I wasn't performing the role of disappointment daughter. My parents made a few more attempts at contact. A birthday card with a check for $100. I returned it. A Christmas gift basket. I donated it. A letter from my father claiming they'd given me space to cool down and were ready to forgive me. I burned it. Each attempt revealed the same fundamental misunderstanding. They still believed I needed them. They still believed I'd come back. They still believed. Their version of the story. Derek called once about a year after the wedding. I answered by accident, thinking it was a client with a similar number. "Maya, is that you?" I almost hung up, but something, maybe curiosity, maybe closure, made me stay on the line. "It's me." "Jesus, Maya, it's been over a year. Mom and Dad are losing their minds. Can't you just apologize and move on?" Apologize? The word tasted bitter. For what? For being so dramatic, for making everything about you, for missing my wedding. "Derek, do you know why I wasn't at your wedding? Because you're holding some ridiculous grudge. Because Mom and Dad gave you $230,000 for a party, but refused to give me $15,000 to save my business. Because they called me a failure. Because they made it clear that you were the child worth investing in, and I was the child who needed to figure things out alone." Silence. Long enough that I thought he'd hung up. "I didn't know the details," he finally said, his voice smaller. "I knew they helped you out, and you weren't grateful." "Helped me out? Derek, I asked for a loan. A loan I would have repaid. They refused. They told me I was a failure who needed to learn to stand on my own. Then they turned around and handed you $250,000, no strings attached, and celebrated it on Facebook. More silence. Look, I didn't know. You didn't ask. You didn't wonder. You just accepted that you deserved it, and I didn't. That's fine. You're allowed to accept their help, but I'm allowed to walk away from a relationship that was destroying me. They're our parents, Maya. They're your parents, I corrected. To me, they were people who made it clear I would never be enough. So I stopped trying to be what they wanted and started being who I am. And you know what? I'm successful. I'm happy. I'm building something real. And I did it all without them. That's really how you see it? That's what it is. I'm not angry anymore. Derek, I'm just done. I hope you have a good life. I hope your marriage is happy. But I can't be part of this family anymore. It was costing me too much. I hung up before he could respond. That was 8 months ago. I haven't heard from any of them since. Sometimes, late at night when insomnia strikes and Bourbon is snoring on the pillow next to me, I wonder if I made the right choice. I wonder if I should have tried harder, forgiven more, been more flexible. Then I remember how I felt in that studio apartment, staring at the wedding invitation, reading my mother's casual cruelty. I remember the voicemails calling me a failure. I remember asking for help and being denied. I remember being told I'd never amount to anything. And I look around my loft apartment with its exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. I think about the company I built, the team I lead, the clients who value my work. I think about the therapy sessions that helped me understand I was never the problem. I think about the friends who showed up, the mentor who believed in me, the small victories that accumulated into something substantial. I think about peace, real peace, the kind that comes from not constantly trying to earn love that should have been freely given. Last week, I ran into Aunt Rachel at a coffee shop downtown. She'd been one of the few family members who'd commented on my absence from family events, who'd seemed to notice I was missing. Maya, she hugged me before I could retreat. I've been wondering about you. Your mother says you're too busy to visit, but I had a feeling there was more to the story. I could have lied, could have smiled and made excuses, could have protected my parents' reputation. Instead, I told her the truth. Not all of it, that would take hours, but the essential facts. The loan I'd been denied, the money given to Derek, the way I'd been treated, the decision to walk away. Rachel listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. I'm not surprised, she finally said. Your mother has always had a favorite. We all saw it. Some of us tried to say something, but James wouldn't hear it. He'd say we were being dramatic or reading too much into things. She squeezed my hand. I'm sorry you went through that, but I'm proud of you for leaving. That takes courage. Thank you. Can I give you some advice? I nodded. Don't wait for them to apologize. Don't wait for them to understand. They've built their entire identity around being right, and admitting they were wrong would shatter that. You'll wait forever for that apology, and it will poison everything you've built. I'm not waiting, I assured her. I've moved on. Good, she smiled. Now tell me about this company of yours. I saw the article in the business journal. It sounds incredible. We talked for an hour. She asked real questions, listened to real answers, celebrated my success without caveats or conditions. It was the kind of conversation I'd always wanted with my parents, but never had. When we parted ways, she hugged me again and whispered, "You did the right thing, Maya. You saved yourself." Those words stayed with me. 3 weeks ago, Priya and I signed the lease on our third office location. We now have 22 employees across 3 cities. We're profitable. We're growing. We're doing work we're proud of with clients who respect us. We threw a party to celebrate. Our whole team, their partners, our friends, the people who'd supported us along the way. The office was full of laughter and music and the kind of easy joy that comes from building something together. I looked around at these people, my chosen family, my real family, and felt something settle in my chest. Not the snap of breaking, but the solid certainty of foundation. This was what family was supposed to feel like. This was what it meant to be valued. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me check. It was a photo. Derek and Nour Madison with a newborn baby. Below, a message. "You're an aunt. Mom and Dad thought you should know." I stared at the photo for a long time. The baby was beautiful, scrunched and red and perfect the way newborns are. I felt a pang, not of regret, but of grief for what could have been in a different world with different parents. I showed Priya the photo. "Are you going to respond?" I thought about it, thought about reaching out, trying again, opening that door one more time. Then I thought about peace, about boundaries, about the life I'd built and the person I'd become. "No," I said. "They made their choice. I made mine. I hope they're happy. I hope that baby grows up loved and supported and never made to feel like a failure. But that's not my family anymore." I deleted the message and blocked the number. Priya raised her glass. "To the family we choose." "To the family we choose," I echoed. The party continued around us. Someone turned up the music. Someone else started dancing. Bourbon, who I'd brought to the office for the celebration, wound around my ankles, purring loud enough to be heard over the noise. I thought about my parents in their big house with their perfect son and their new grandchild. I thought about Derek playing the role of devoted father the way he'd played the role of golden child. I thought about my mother posting pictures on Facebook, crafting narratives, maintaining appearances. And I felt nothing, no anger, no hurt, no longing for reconciliation. Just a peaceful acceptance that some relationships are toxic, and some distances are necessary, and some prices are too high to pay for the illusion of family. They gave Derek $230,000 and called me a failure. I stopped calling them, and I became more successful than any of them imagined possible. Not because I wanted revenge, though I won't lie and say it doesn't feel satisfying, but because I finally stopped trying to earn love from people who were never going to give it freely. I stopped shrinking myself to fit their narrative. I stopped accepting their version of who I was. I became myself, fully, unapologetically, successfully myself. And that's the best revenge of all, not hurting them, but building a life so full and rich and meaningful that their absence doesn't leave a hole. Their absence leaves space. Space for real relationships, real success, real happiness. Someone called my name across the office. A toast was being proposed. I walked over to join the circle, Priya's arm around my shoulders, surrounded by people who chose me and whom I chose in return. This was my family now. This was my life now. And I had never been less of a failure.